Welcome to the Neuroperformance Podcast with your host, Andy Murphy. Join us as we delve into the advanced high-performance tactics he uses with his elite clientele across the globe. Let's unlock a whole new world of business potential together.
Okay, everybody, here we are, Mastermind on the Tuesday, and I think this is number 8. I think this is number 8. So we've done these in 2 months, which is nuts, right? Nuts in itself. So we begin as always. We do wins, technique. If we're working on any one businesses, we've got any questions, and then if we've got time, we do an install. Today we've got a few people, so we'll probably keep it nice and light today for everybody. Today is about language and self-talk. So that's what we're going to go through today, and pass and interrupt. And the reason we want to go through self-talk is what I found over the years is that when we're working with the highest performers, being able to have control over those words and what you tell yourself in that moment of pressure is how you win or not. It is that simple. So what self-talk leads to is really decision-making. And that's what I want you to become an expert at, because understand your language, it can point you this way or it can point you this way in the moment, right? It can influence someone or it could hurt someone in that moment. So where we get control over our self-talk and become real proficient at it, for using it inside of us, but also using it to guide, control, and navigate situations and scenarios. So that's what we're going to cover today. It's one of the most powerful things that you can connect to. And I'll just give you a little insight. What they've found or discovered with depression is actual chemicals. Yes, absolutely. But what they've discovered is depression is actually it's self-talk. It's looping self-talk. And what they found is when that self-talk stops, the depression stops too. Interesting, right? So we're going to go into all that in a moment, but we all have that self-talk, and we understand when we're depressed or sad or stressed out, we know what words we're saying to ourselves, right? And that becomes the devastating problem, right? This is the things can beat us up, hold us back, or it can empower us and it can win gold medals. It is that ability, and we're going to go into that all today. Love it, mate. And that's the spider web that you're creating across promotion. I don't know if you saw Nathan. You're not in that group, but I saw it I posted in the Telegram group. I don't know if you saw it. It's in. I'll send it over.
The Disney.
Yes.
Thing? Yeah.
It's Walt Disney's or Disney. I shouldn't say Walt. It's probably done by his brother, because the brother was the team, right? Walt was the visionary. So what it is it's their initial. I'll send it over to you, Nathan. It's their initial drawing, a map of how they're joint venturing with all of these different companies and everything, all to lead income or to lead eyeballs, to Disneyland. It's crazy. We're talking media, advertising, music. It's everything. It's lines everywhere connecting them. And this is going back to what, the 40s? And they were all about so clever. It's not an accident they became who they are. They're clever. You know what I mean? They're not just creating characters and cartoons. No, that's the most high-end business model. So when you look at that model and then you look at the success they've had, it makes absolute sense. It makes absolute sense. But unfortunately, what a lot of people do is they saw that big picture straight away, right? What most people do is just see this. So most people would have seen, oh, I'm going to make a cartoon. They wouldn't have seen, we're going to create this massive empire around merchandise and media and bringing people into. No, most people are just seeing cartoons. So what you have to do with your business is always step out, right? Nothing I'm not teaching you don't know by now. But when we step out and look at that business model, how are we partnering with everyone, right? Are we in the media? If Is it paid media? Is it organic traffic? Am I setting up certain ads on certain platforms? How am I pulling in these leads? Well, that's free. That's free marketing because I'm on radio shows or in the press or it's a beautiful, beautiful image. And I'll make sure everyone's got it because it's just inspirational for you to look at a higher level, look at your business, understanding there's so many sections to it. And where are we directing them? To the one place, right? Whether it's an opt-in, whether it's a hotel, whether it's an offer, whether it's a service, it doesn't matter, right? How are we creating this umbrella that pulls them into this one place? So for me, like with the finance and acquisition stuff that I do as well, it's a case of with that side, like tomorrow, guess what? I go to just explaining, I go to the Hard Rock Hotel and meet the VIP concierge person. Why? Because he knows everyone. He knows Michael Jordan. He knows everybody, right? So what's that? That's a high level move, thinking to connect me to that person. Who's connecting me to that person? An NFL star, right? An NFL player. How did I meet an NFL player? Randomly, right? But that's the thing. But the whole point is to pull them over here so we get a meeting so we can get finance. So just showing you, right? It doesn't matter what industry, whether it's Firemind, whether it's that business or that business, it's all of the same thing. How do we connect to the highly leveraged, most influential people that can just press a button and start pulling people to us? If you're on Joe Rogan podcast, right? Free media, but you think you might get a few eyeballs on your business, right? Same thing. So think about it like that. Anyway, that's a very random thing I jumped in. Well done, mate. That's huge. And the best thing about you, Nathan, is, as I say, when we do our little our sessions and brainstorm, Nathan is the best at implementing. He just instantly implements. I'm like, did you do that? He's like, yeah. What are you talking about? Yeah. Brilliant. And you should be proud of that, mate, because not everyone is. Not everyone is to that level. And it's those tiny little details that people will go, yeah, whatever. But you implement them. And like what we said, right? What did we say last week? My brain went, how do we buy your time back? We need to move you to a higher level so you have higher level thinking and you can do bigger leverage moves or money moves, right? So guess what we did? Just for everyone listening and watching, I went, well, what are the top performing products? That's it. Not quite sure. Right. What are the products that are the highest performing, highest profit, and what can you market and push more? That's it. And that's what you did. And you worked it all out. And that's powerful, man. Because now guess what that does? That compounds. Because each one of those tweaks, we talk about that adding that 1%, right, to the shift. Well, what you've done is now you've optimized everything basically. So guess what? Everyone's going to start pitching and pushing the products that produce the most. That's it. And so all it is now is you've just added profit from doing what? From doing what? You know what I mean?
A couple of things on a computer and just let back.
And that's the thing is we move through your business and life and we scale and everything. These are the things that people don't do and don't see, especially from being inside the business. It's hard to see. Being outside, it's very easy to see certain things. But well done, mate. Well done, all of you. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm excited about that. So let's jump into today's lesson. And as I say, we'll keep this nice and on point today. But today's lesson's pretty interesting. And again, every week it's a little lesson. I could go through and talk for hours and hours and hours and hours, but I just want to give you little snippets on the way. And over the weeks and months, there's going to be things I will repeat, and I do it intentionally because I want to make sure that we're reiterating things. And when you've got access to the membership site and you've got access to all the pre-trainings, you're going to find in each one of them, it's got the topics laid out. So you're going to go, oh, I need to tune this up. So it's not just a mastermind and not just motivation from me and at the team. No, it is. You've got specific tactics like you would be running through a 12-month course. So that's the cool thing about it. But I was going to cover the interrupt, but and I will cover. Let me cover this interrupt real quick, just because it's nothing you don't know. It's nothing you don't know. But just because something's common knowledge doesn't mean it's common practice. So what we want to be able to constantly keep getting practicing and getting used to is things like this. And this connects to the language patterns and not the language patterns, the words and the self-talk, which I'll talk about in a second. But this interrupt is probably something you've all experienced by now, right? So what does that mean? You're feeling or thinking or acting or going to do something, and you go, whoa, I'm not going to do that. That's wrong. I'm going to do this instead. Or I'm feeling this. Stop that. Feel this instead. I'm not focused. Stop that. Focus on this instead, right? We've all had that experience, especially over the past couple of months of working with this, of just catching that pattern, catching that self-talk, catching that program, catching that feeling. Before you talk to someone, pick the phone up, right? There's a version of you doing it. So I just want you really to add to your superpowers, which is what you're developing right now through Firemind. You're developing superpowers. So I just want you to get used to this, because we catch and rewire. So this is how we begin to train our conscious mind to be able to catch or begin to interrupt the synapse connection. So remember, the pattern wants to continue. It wants to loop. The software in your head, the neurology, whatever you want to call it, it just wants to loop complete, loop complete, loop complete, loop complete. What we do as it's about to complete, self-talk. Because the thing is, why we do self-talk or ask a question or anything is because it will interrupt this loop, right? And if we interrupt the loop, it means we can then connect it to something, right? So instead of the loop completing, I suck, I suck, I suck, whoa, I'm awesome, right? Seems obvious and simple, but what we're doing is we're teaching you how to get mastery of this interrupt and make a decision, because when you do, the beautiful thing is this is going to help you in every area of your life, including your relationships, family, everything. Okay, so this is the point we'll go to. So there is a setting in your brain or mind that will automatically respond to any question being answered. And you've probably heard me say this before, and there's this bit, and that's why I'm going to cover it fast. But before any task, right in that moment, we need to learn to catch the pattern and interrupt it by becoming aware of our thoughts and feelings. This interrupts the pattern that's automatically playing, okay? No rocket science here. So the question I like to ask myself in the morning, before I come on with you guys, before I do anything, I'm constantly checking in, right? Because I want to make my life easy. And if I'm full of anxiety, stress, worry, my mind's too much focused on the future or the past or whatever it is, I'm not going to enjoy it, right? I'm not going to have the right energy like I have now. And I'm going to be caught up in my head. And guess who's going to feel it? Everybody around you, right? So when we wake up in the morning, the biggest thing that smashes entrepreneurs is our brains start looping of all the things that we've got to accomplish, right? So what this starts to do is this starts to loop. It starts to create overwhelm, right? And that overwhelm creates anxiety, it creates stress, it creates pressure, it creates health problems. So what we need to learn to do, interrupt it. So I wake up in the morning, what's going on? Oh shit, how am I feeling? Well, you're already probably feeling anxious a little bit, maybe, right? So it's how am I feeling? Or I'm feeling okay, so what am I thinking? How am I feeling? How am I thinking? It seems stupid, but the point in asking these questions is we become consciously aware of what's automatically playing. What most people do is not that. What most people do is I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling scared, I'm worried about this. Then what happens? Nothing. They carry on feeling worried, scared, or anything else. That's how you lead into suicide. That's how you lead into depression. That's how you lead into mental health, is by sitting in an emotion or a thought that you don't know how to stop and you don't know how to change, right? Then what happens is the neurology, the brain adjusts, the chemicals adjust, and whether it's what you want or what you don't want, it doesn't matter. The pattern continues. So this is what freaks entrepreneurs out, and it freaks high performers out. So very simply, we need to get control, plain and simple. Make your life easy. So when we learn to interrupt this pattern, what feeling or thought, it becomes very simple. So I want you to do a very simple little exercise right now. What's up, Merv? So very simple exercise right now. So I just want you to see again, remember what we're interrupting, right? Thoughts and feelings. So all I want you to do is to write down the first thought or feeling that comes into your head, right? Not the second, not what you think you should say, not what the connection is. What is the first thought and feeling that comes into your head when we say these things, right? So the first one is happiness. What's the first thought? What we're learning here is what is automatically installed in your head, right? So for happiness, for me, instantly, like the instant first, I was trying to think about it then, but the first image that blasted into my brain is happiness is a hammock by the beach. It's like, it's everything to me. Hammocks are anchored to me. When I was in the UK growing up, we didn't have too many hammocks, right? So a hammock to me is the beach, the Caribbean, heat, the ocean. That's what it is to me. So happiness to me is that freedom that I can be there. I can write that down very quickly, right? So go through them very quickly. This isn't the point of exercises today. We're going to move on from this, but I just want you to relate to it. So what's happiness? What comes up? Relationships. That's partners, but that's also friendships. What's the first image thought that comes up? Is it a good feeling? Is it a bad feeling? Is it the wrong person, right person? What is going on? Money. What's the first thought and feeling around what comes up with money? Is it a juicy, good feeling? Or are we scared shitless? Or what's going on in there, right? If I said the word to you, $2 million, what's the first thought and feeling that comes up into your head? Is it a good feeling? Is it excitement? Is it ready to receive it? Is it a block? Is it for someone else? What's going on? If I said to the world, $100,000 a month, $100,000 a month, every month, how does that make you feel? Does it make you feel insecure? Does it make you feel powerful? Does it feel normal? Does it hurt you? Like, I can't do that. What comes up? If I said 30 grand a month, is that more? Is that the right feeling? Is that more comfortable? If it is, great. What happened if we stretched it to 50? Then 70, right? We're trying to find your threshold, because at the end of the day, if 50 grand, let's say 50 grand a month, and it's still a lot of money, I'm not saying it's not, but 50 grand a month, if that scares you, well, okay, you probably want to work on that, right? If your price is $1,000 for a package and that worries you, charging that, say my package in your head 1,000 times, my package is 10,000. It's $10,000. It's $10,000. It's $10,000. It's $10,000. It's $10,000. It's $10,000. How much is your package? It's $1,000. It's easy to say then, because the thresholds changed, your emotions changed, everything's changed, right? So that's how we start getting over it with self-talk. Business, right? Your business. What's the thought and feeling that instantly pop into your head when you say those words? What is it? Is it what you want, or is it what you don't want? I say these things because as we move on to the next stage, I just want to make sure that you are aware of what's playing, so you can do what? Interrupt them, right? So you can then get used to what thought or what feeling is going on in my head. If you're about to see a client guess what? Or a potential sales call or anything like that, guess what? What thought or what feelings on in your head? If you have this feeling around money and it's the wrong one, and you're asking for $1,000 or $10,000 or $500, and your emotion isn't connected to it the right way, do you think the tonality coming out your voice is going to be congruent with somebody who's confident? No. Your physiology, your tonality, like your even the way you interact with them is going to be different. And you might be best friends with them and then go to the close, but because of your money issues, then you start hesitating and worrying about asking for the money, right? That's what I want you to start learning about yourself. Because when we can do that, we realize it's automatic. We realize we can begin to change it. Make sense? Okay. So whatever you're trying to do, it doesn't matter. Push that number up. So this is where I'm moving to today. And it's something you've gone through with me, I'm sure, or you already know. But again, like this, like with these masterminds, what I'm giving you is blips of techniques, blips of this, that then you can go over and over again. And we might repeat things, and it's okay, because there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of these. So, but what I want you to get used to is the power of your words and the power of your self-talk. And as I said to you before you came on, Murph, I was explaining the biggest thing that I found with anybody at any level who's the highest performer is being able to be absolutely in control of their language, their self-talk in that moment, to make decisions, whether this way or this way, to ask for the money this way or ask for it that way, to live life this way or that way, to be stressed or happy, to be confused or focused. It's language that does this. So what I want you to understand is this key thing, and this is the thing for sales also, and building rapport and connecting with anyone. We are question answering machines, okay? And you've probably heard me say this before, but we are question answering machines. There is not a question I can ask you or you can ask yourself or somebody else that their brain will not try to answer. They always will, okay? So if you cannot think about what you don't want to think about without thinking about it. Think about that, right? You cannot think about what you don't want to think about without thinking about it. Think about that, right? Don't, the classic one I always use, and I got this off my friend John Heffron, who, and he, don't think of a ninja. Don't think of a ninja. Don't think of a ninja jumping up and down. Don't think of a ninja jumping up and down with a pink bow tie on, right? What are you thinking about, right? You cannot think about what you don't want to think about. So this is for sales and communication and ourselves. If we're saying, don't be stressed about money, which is what most people get taught, right? Just using money as an example. Common knowledge is that our brain does not hear or process the start of a sentence. It only hears the dominant thought. What do I mean? Don't look at the hand. Don't look at my hand. No matter what, don't look at this hand. What are you looking at? The hand, right? That's the language. Don't be stressed. You're going to focus on stress. Don't be happy. No matter what, just don't be happy. What's your focus? Happy, right? So when you start to understand the power of language inside ourselves and other people, we have to start mastery, right? Because what we understand is here, we say about 50,000 words to ourselves, right? And that means we have about 50,000 thoughts a day. Each one of those thoughts is connected to words, okay? So understand the power of self-talk here. So self-talk, guess what it controls? It controls our emotions, right? Don't feel stressed. You suck. You're awesome. Same thing, right? So what else does it connect to? Well, they all connect with each other, right? So your self-talk connects the thoughts. Imagine that beach that you were on last time you were on a beach and how beautiful and relaxed you were, right? Instantly, you're thinking about a beach and being relaxed. That's your thoughts. This affects your beliefs. So when we talk about the money before, right? What are you saying to yourself around money or your business? Because that directly affects what? Your beliefs. And your beliefs create that driver. Your beliefs, like if you, what's the old, it's a cheesy thing to say, but I haven't said it in years, but the earth was flat once, right? No. Well, maybe if you believe the earth's flat still, some people do. But the earth was flat once, right? No, it wasn't flat. But people believed it was. So guess what that meant? No one was going around the world, right? People falling off the edge. People's belief was the earth was flat, because if the earth was flat, then guess what? Then the people treated as if it was flat. So if you believe that you can't sell your business for millions of dollars, guess what that means? You can't. If you can't believe that you can't hit 100 grand a year, it's not happening, right? Because your self-talk isn't congruent, the thoughts aren't congruent, the emotions aren't congruent, and which means, like the bottom left, what there, your action behaviors aren't going to be congruent. So when we start to understand all of these words that are pumping around our head all day are so fucking important, because they literally are connected to emotions, behaviors, beliefs, and thoughts, then what does that mean? We best get damn in control of them, right? Because this means we have looping thoughts that are speaking to us constantly, even though we're not consciously aware of them, right? This is what's causing shit in your brain. So when we start to understand this, the general population, his mind is blowing, and that's a very nice picture. But when you see that stat, that's the average people. 70 to 80% of the self-talk inside someone's head for the average person is negative. And if we show, and I'm sure you know this, Murph, that the studies are showing with depression, right, that self-talk is the dominant thing that's creating that depression. It's looping self-talk. And if 70% of it is negative, it's like having someone sitting in the next to your head going, you suck. Do you know you suck? You really suck at that. You shouldn't try that. You suck. You suck. You suck. If you think about this, if that voice wasn't in your head and that was someone walking around with you, would you allow it? No, of course you wouldn't. You'd knock them out, right? Or you get rid of them. You wouldn't allow someone to say those things to you. And when, even then, it gets even crazier, because 70% of the self-talk of 50,000 words, right, is negative, then 66% of that negativity is then on repeat. So is it any wonder that as entrepreneurs, we beat ourselves up? Is it any wonder as a human species in this type of society that we've been indoctrinated in is this is normal? And we wonder why kids have depression. We wonder why entrepreneurs give up. We wonder why the suicide rate's through the roof. This is why. And when you start to understand this is connected to what? Yes, self-talk, which is also connected to media, social media, like everything, right? What are you listening to? We spoke about mirror neurons, and we've understand that before, right? That's constantly inputting in our brain. So again, this boils back to this. If you're around a group of people who are moaning about life and who aren't excited and driven and creating action, if you're around those people, it doesn't take long for your brain to adapt. And then that self-talk that you've worked your ass off to stop will just repeat, and it will come back. And this is how people relapse with drugs, relapse with depression, relapse with everything. It's because they're around the wrong environment, saying the wrong things, and that is affecting all of this. Make sense? It's so, and I'm saying it with this passion because it's so important for you to understand. Because these words will affect the way you feel, and then it will affect how you speak to other people. This is the problem, right? So when we start to understand that, then what we got to understand is that, like affirmations, like I'm not a fan of affirmations, right? I'm not. but I'm also a fan of affirmations. And this is the reason, right? Affirmations will create an instant emotion. That's what they'll do, right? And they're powerful for that. But when we understand about the conscious and unconscious mind, what have we got in between? Does everyone know? Not that you need to know, but I'm going to tell you. There's a wall or a boundary in between the conscious and unconscious mind. It's called the critical faculty. What that means is this boundary in between the conscious and unconscious mind. Well, when you're doing affirmations, it makes you feel different in the moment, and that's beautiful. That can help you direct your focus, change your state, do all brilliant things. But the challenge with affirmations, unless you repeat them about 40,000 times, they're not going to get past this wall, and they're not going to go into the software, right? So that becomes the challenge. So that's okay. We know how to drop it into the software. We drop our brainwave frequencies. We visualize. We do all those things you've been learning, right? This is the language of the unconscious mind. But what I want you to understand, more importantly here, is this. Words are connected to emotions. Like a surgical knife, they can kill or cure. So if you're dealing with, like, you might be coaching people, for example, like Rob does, and you're dealing with kids all day, right? Then guess what? What we don't understand, especially if you're a parent, and I'm not, and I don't want to be, but I have nieces and nephews. But when guess what? The words that you're saying to the kids, the words that you're saying to your partner are creating an instant, and I mean instant, emotion inside of them. It's making them think, feel, and act instantly a certain way. These words can be so damaging that the kid will remember that forever. Do you know what I mean? Forever. If someone's aggressive at them and shouts and says a certain thing, that can be installed in their head. And if there's anything like that going on with you, and you do the package with me that you do one-on-ones, then please let's open this up, because those sessions, we can do anything. It's just not about business. Remember this. This is about tuning your unconscious mind. So if we've got to go and deep dive with stress, and we've got to go and tune that unconscious mind up to get rid of the trauma, then please, that's what we do, right? It doesn't matter. So I want you to look at these words, because as I say, they're so powerful. These emotions can be triggered instantly in yourself in a negative or positive way. They can motivate you or damage you. The next thing is understanding this, because we talk about health. Those words create an emotion. That emotion, we've got to understand this. Every cell has a memory. If you're repeating an emotion, it's delivering a chemical. That chemical is being replicated or rippled through every cell and fiber of your body. This is how people get sick. This is how people get diseases, right? This is how people destroy their body. Because if we understand, literally, it's holographic. It just goes boom through your whole body. And they've done tests on this. And John's probably knows more about this than me. But the truth is, they've done tests, so many tests on this. And this might lead to the next. No, it's on a different slide. But this is where it leads to something called psychoneuroimmunology. And psychoneuroimmunology is where the mind literally affects the health, good and bad. You know, my mom was a cardiac nurse for like 30 years. She run wards and stuff. And she could tell, she said to me many, many times, she could tell instantly within the first 10 minutes who was going to survive or not when they come in. And it was all to do with this. It was all to do with where their focus was. It was all to do whether they're like, no, I'm going to beat this. Or it was all to do with, they're giving up. That replicates because it sends a signal around the rest of the body. That's how powerful words are. So you best be damn careful how you're using them inside your relationships, inside your own head, inside your business, inside your sales, inside your own health, right? You get the idea. So we're not going to go through this. but we're going to jump to here. So look at some of these words. I'm going to read some of them. I'm reading words, I understand. But what I want you to do is to really pay attention to the word and what thought and feeling pops up, right? Because it might be connected to a memory, or it might be that feeling might feel awesome inside of you. So guess what we'd want to do? We'd want to use that word more. And I'm just giving you a taste of 5 words just to see how you feel, okay? So just listen very carefully to what I'm about to say. So when I say accepted, you're accepted. Is there a person, place, or thing, or image, or thought that comes up? Maybe not. When I say worthy, you're worthy. Is that a warm feeling, cold feeling, connected feelings? Does this image come up? Thought, feeling. Get the idea? Okay. What about confident? Confident. Does it take you back to a memory? Does it remind you of somebody? Does it come up a feeling? Is it a location inside of your body, your head, your chest, your legs, your arms? Because that's something we're going to do. It's called kinesthetics, and it's something we'll be teaching you in NLP, right? But for now, does that thought, does that feeling light up anywhere in your body? What about curious? Curious, right? That's like brings up images of Sherlock Holmes to me and things like that. That's what I want you to start paying attention to. So when you say words, also, if we're moving on like just a key point, when you say words, this is certain, it's a whole different cell system I can go into with this, but it's called echoing, right? So what we want to start to learn is certain words are used by people that we probably like and trust, right? It's like your partner or your friends will use certain words repeatedly, right? And it's when we're doing a sale or someone's working at the bar or whatever it is, right? Working with kids, they're going to repeat certain words.
That's all for this episode of the Neuro-Performance Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to stay connected, rate, review, and visit andymurphy.online to take the next step towards unlocking your pure potential. See you next time.